Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Intel Extreme Masters San Jose, day number 3, and we are into the quarterfinals. It is going to be an intense evening of action here on Streambree and also on the main stream that will be starting in 1 hour. They're going to be covering 2 of the quarterfinal games. 2 of the quarterfinal games are going to be coming on here, and then the main stream will take over for both semifinals and the finals. And well, what great games we've got in store for us tonight. Here on the B stream, we're going to be starting off with ForGG up against Rain. So an amazing TVP going to be setting things off here for us this evening. And well, Rain, he was able to advance top of Group A from yesterday. Yeah, he was in a group with Snoot, True, and Huck. Initially, he was able to 2-0 Huck. He was then able to beat True 2-1 in a PvZ. And that means that he ended up here. ForGG, he didn't have quite as smooth of a run. He lost to Symbol 2-1, so therefore got knocked down into the losers game where he played up against Hyun. He was able to take a good, nice 2-0 win there, however, so that meant that he advanced into the decider game up against Symbol, where he was also able to 2-0. That got him the second place in Group C, which means that he ends up here. The other quarterfinal that we're going to be covering on B stream tonight is going to be Bomber versus Revival, a nice little bit of Terran versus Zerg. Meanwhile, the mainstream, their first game is coming up in about an hour. That's going to be Hero up against Snoot in a PvZ, and also Jaedong versus Gumio. So, all Koreans in this quarterfinal, bar Snoot representing Norway as ever, and he is going to be looking to try and punch through into those semi-finals and beyond. But that is all coming up on the mainstream. Now, as I said, we have got Rain versus ForGG. Foxtrot Labs is going to be starting things off for us here, and it is loading on in. Every game is a best of 5 in the quarterfinals and semi-finals, with a best of 7 finals this evening. But Foxtrot Labs, we're loading into it as I speak. So, get ready, hashtag IEM on Twitter, let us know your thoughts on who's going to be able to take this series. And let's jump straight on into all of the fun. So, here we have it. Foxtrot Labs, the first game of this best of 5, the quarterfinals, in store for us this evening. Very, very much looking forward to seeing what these two are going to be able to pull out. They came through some intense groups yesterday in stage number 2. And now here they are battling for a semi-final spot, a single elimination bracket in stage number 3 for the top 8 players. And in the lower right-hand position, we have got the blue Protoss. It is Rain. And his opponent up to the top left, the red Terran. None other than ForGG. So, as I mentioned coming into this game, these two have had quite a tough run in the stage 2 group stage. Rain was able to finish top of his group, only dropping 1 map, and that was to True in the winners game. ForGG, on the other hand, he had a bit more of a tough time overall. He lost to Symbol in his first game of the group, then 2-0'd Hyun, and then 2-0'd Symbol after that in order to qualify through. So he was able to come back quite nicely against Symbol, who initially knocked him into the losers game of that Group C. So, all in all, Rain is the favourite going into this as far as the bracket's concerned, finishing top of his group. But ForGG, as we all know from recent tournament results, is an incredibly good Terran player who really is able to win tournament results. Something that had eluded him for quite a while in his StarCraft 2 career, but now is he set to be able to go on a bit of a winning streak. Well, for the moment in terms of openings, he is going for this barracks. He's got the gas up as well, so I'm expecting to see a Reaper come out of him. Meanwhile, from Rain, he's just grabbing that second gas now. That's quite nice and early, as the cybernetic score comes on through as well. As well as this probe scout, and this is what I'm very interested to see, is what is this probe going to be doing? It's coming and just getting into a very sneaky spot with a pylon down, so I'm expecting to see some fun proxy action coming down from Rain here. Is ForGG going to be able to scout it though? Of course, Foxtrot Labs is certainly one of those locations where you can get some good proxies down to these little side areas, so potentially ForGG will come and look there. Of course, they know that they're going to be in the cross-spawn locations, as that is forced on Foxtrot Labs, but all in all, it's just going to be the Stargate at the moment. If we take a look up here for ForGG, he has pulled SCVs out of the gas, so he's just getting enough for the reactor down, not going for the Reaper, no, sorry, after the Reaper, he got the reactor and the Reaper down, and now has just quickly pulled all of those SCVs out, so not mining any more gas. He should get this Reaper over in quite a nice time, and he's going to come across and see some interesting stuff, mainly that there has been 2 gas for quite a while, and he's therefore probably going to be wondering, okay, where is that gas gone? What has it been spent on? because it's not all adding up back at home. Of course, there's a nice little ledge there for the Reaper to come bouncing on up, so it comes into Foxtrot. He's going to get spotted immediately by this Stalker, and that's actually doing a great job of denying the scout. So ForGG didn't get complete information about taken down, and therefore needs to be just a little bit careful. Wants to try and get back through just to confirm what is coming out, what is being placed, because if he's not able to get that information, it's very unlikely that he's going to expect there to be a proxy Stargate. But this Stalker for Rain is doing just such an amazing job of keeping this Reaper fended off and keeping it away from getting any vital scouting information. In terms of ForGG's preparation though, he senses that something's a bit up. He does have a Reaper actually coming over very close towards this proxy Stargate. Isn't going to be able to see anything, unfortunately, just missing the Oracle, but he's about to discover as it comes flying on in. Of course, the bunker is finished on, not quite finished up yet, and that means the Marines do get taken down. That's quite problematic, actually. One Marine able to get into that bunker, but of course the Oracle going to be trying to rack up a couple of kills now. Does get 2 SCVs, but importantly escapes with its life. His body is about to be produced as well. ForGG able to scout out this proxy Stargate now as he does come on over with the Reaper. But of course the Stalkers here, in addition to that, the first Oracle is still alive. Just a little bit of damage being done overall at the moment, but nothing devastating yet. And of course with this bunker up, the Marines are going to be a lot more able to defend against this Oracle play for the moment. Coming on through though with this Oracle yet again, racking up a couple more kills. This is the second one. The Stalker is also having a right field day here. The first Oracle just waiting away, trying to stay somewhere safe, but 7 worker kills from this proxy Stargate opening is certainly going to be nice news for Rain, who's expanding now behind this, going to be getting his natural nexus out. Unfortunately, he is going to lose this Stalker that was being very, very brave, trying to deal a little bit of damage to that bunker. But yes, that's definitely not ideal for Rain losing that Stalker there, but he is moving back through again with this Oracle now. Going to be racking up quite a bit more damage. There's nothing really remaining to come and defend against this. The second Oracle, ready and waiting as well, could come in to attempt to get a bit more damage out in the near future. A couple more Marines have popped out, but 4 further workers have been killed. But ForGG, he's accepting that. He's saying, okay, well, if a bit of that damage is done, that's fine, because I'm going to come and counterattack. And what does Rain have to defend against this? The answer is very little. Not even Photon Overcharge on this Mothership core, due to the fact it being delayed in order to get out that Oracle first. So a lot of damage is going to be done here. This natural nexus not looking likely to survive just against these Marines for the moment. Frantically, this Mothership core wants to get up another kind of 13 energy. The Oracle's still vying for some opportunity to get a bit more damage done, but Rain, he's going to be fine just holding this position with the force field down. If he is able to Photon Overcharge, it will buy him a lot more time. He'll be able to deal with a lot of these Marines, but that Photon Overcharge not quite ready yet. The Nexus is just getting chipped away out. There's the little back away with these Stalkers. They need to be very careful. The Oracle also coming on back, but that's going to get taken down. A little bit of a miscontrol there as the Oracle moves across. There's the Photon Overcharge being forced, but this now means there's no energy to Photon Overcharge at the natural base. One of the Stalkers gets taken down, and ForGG is doing a good amount of damage here. Is he going to be able to do too much more? This Nexus getting focused for the moment. The Immortal is now out on the field. That's going to help a bit, but the Nexus just slowly getting chipped away at. The important thing is Rain's trying to just bait these Marines to come back, but a couple of force fields are going to go down, and well, Rain, he's going to be able to keep that natural Nexus. That is fantastic news for him. His Oracle stays alive as well, and if we look at the damage done, ForGG is only at 21 SCVs at the moment. He put a lot of time into trying to apply this pressure. He does have wave number 2 of it ready and waiting to come on through, but Rain is getting more and more units out now. These Marines don't have Stimpack yet. They do have Combat Shield, however, so they're just poking and prodding. The second Immortal is also out on the field. That's going to help with a bit more damage, but one of those sentries gets quickly focused down. The Immortal is also being targeted. It is able to escape with its life, however, really aiding this defense of Rain. His control is doing a fantastic job. A couple more shots coming down on these Marines whose numbers are starting to thin on out, but chasing on down, getting up close and personal with that Immortal. We'll pick up the Immortal and a sentry more before losing all of those Marines. So all in all, if we look at the resources lost, ForGG has still lost further resources than that of his opponent, but in terms of just the overall unit losses, these 11 SCVs going down is a little bit frustrating, especially when Rain still has his natural nexus up and running, whereas the natural command center for ForGG has only just now floated back down after the initial Oracle play. Add in that Rain is now preparing for a counterattack to come on through, and this could be causing a few problems for ForGG, who's going to need to put up a strong defense as a couple of Marines come in to try and pick off this proxy Stargate. There is, of course, the Oracle still harassing. It racks up 2 more worker kills, which may not seem like a devastating amount, but every little really will help. A few more shots coming down on these Marines that are frantically trying to depower the Stargate. They might just get it. Not... Oh, that was such good control by ForGG, just backing on out there, able to get the pylon with 1 additional shot down. Beautiful work there from ForGG, at least depowering that Stargate for the moment. But he's going to have to abandon this natural base again, floating it away because there's just such a large volume of Protoss units here. He should be able to hold his ground at the top of this ramp with a good concave, but it's delaying mining from this natural base, adding the fact that the Immortal's still here. Force field being thrown down just to try and prevent ForGG from engaging on top of it. But 4 more workers have been killed, 17 in total so far this game, and Rain is sitting with a very comfortable economic lead overall, and that's thanks to this natural base just mining away very, very happily. Rain is adding in more gateways behind this. He's still pumping out his first few observers, as well as getting Blink now on the field. So this is going to just aid him being even more cost effective than he already is. But the concern is he doesn't yet have any additional AoE damage. So if ForGG is able to get up a large infantry army, it can be a little bit more challenging to deal with until there are any Colossi out. There's going to be some drop play trying to be executed by ForGG, and this may have some success. Of course, there are a few Stalkers waiting up in the main base to deal with this, and with more Stalkers coming through as well, it could start to get a little bit more problematic for ForGG trying to get this drop through. And if he were to lose even one of these medevacs, considering the position he's in already, it would be quite annoying for him and make it quite a lot harder for him to get much else done. The Stalkers intercepting these medevacs, not quite able to get it picked off. Good reactions from ForGG as he backs away to safety. The robotics bait is also now coming on through, so Rain is going to be teching up into that Colossus tech, getting a bit of AoE damage down. He will finally get that proxy Stargate, and ForGG has been waiting to kill that for quite a while, and while it wasn't producing anything, it really was the catalyst of allowing Rain to get into this quite nice position in this first game of the best of 5. Rain is also preparing to take his 3rd base. He's cleared out that debris now, so he's got a bit of a quicker move through. However, ForGG is preparing to go for this multi-prong attack. He's got a couple of medevacs moving up again, but these Stalkers are ready to intercept. They're going to nudge it back, nearly get that damaged medevac, but that just means that it's going to come on over. But a photon cannon will get the snipe down on the damaged medevac, picking that off and all of its contents, and that is a bit of a nasty loss there for ForGG, who's down now by over 40 supply. He's positioning round to try and see if there is a 3rd base attempt yet. It hasn't been placed, but there's a big forward blink from Rain. He's going to get one of those medevacs, get a couple of infantry units as well, and every little is really going to be helping Rain at the moment. He's getting very cost-effective trades. Blinks directly on top of this infantry. A bold move. Will lose a couple of Stalkers in exchange for that, but he's forcing the retreat out of ForGG. He's picking off these medevacs, and that's his big goal right now, is reduce that medevac count, pick off this infantry, keep it in lower numbers where it is manageable, and if he gets all of the medevacs, it severely hinders the ability for ForGG to keep dropping, to keep engaging, because he just won't have the ability to stim without severely hurting the rest of his army. And so while quite a few Stalkers have gone down from those aggressive forward blinks, as did quite a few medevacs, leaving only 3 remaining on the field, and the added benefit of picking off quite a few of those medevacs is that now the starport production cycles are going to be going into those medevacs as opposed to Vikings, which means the Colossi are going to be a lot safer out on the field and could very well set Rain up into a position where he's able to win this game. So, still checking out, trying to see what more can be done here from ForGG. He is adding in a 3rd command center, which is going to be vital if he's going to keep up economically with Rain, because even though the worker count is in Rain's favor, there are those 2 mules for ForGG, and that's going to help stabilize his economy, at least bring it a lot closer to level than it otherwise would be. But he's still going for more pressure. He is still going to be trying to get a bit more power down and get a bit of damage out, but these 2 Colossus could be causing quite the headache for our Terran player here. The Observer for Rain is getting good little bit of information here, and this positioning of the Observer is great. It allows Rain to know where this infantry is going, whether it's coming around to the 3rd, whether it's trying to push in towards the natural base. So that is a really beautiful placement. It's a shame for ForGG that he can't see it, because that is what's really allowing ForGG, or not allowing ForGG to get any damage out, because Rain is always on top of this with his army positioning, just to deflect and fend off any attempt to poke and prod. So, still checking about and seeing what else ForGG has got. He's adding in his first couple of Vikings now, and these are really going to be essential if he wants to be able to deal with this Protoss army late game once those Colossi start coming through. He's also got a second Starport coming through, and that's going to really help ramp it up to 4 Vikings per production cycle. But is it going to be enough? Because Rain, he's sitting very comfortable. He's still about 40 supply ahead of that of his opponent, and a lot of that is actually coming in the army supply. The worker count is only 8 different. But that, of course, is only good news for Rain, who's also sitting on equal upgrades, soon to take an upgrade lead with the +2 ground weapons being chrono boosted out as we speak. And Rain is just playing this game very carefully, very steadily, not taking any rush engagements or trying to get into a position to end quickly. Instead, just biding his time, getting up a strong composition, strong upgrades, knowing that he's got a lead over ForGG, and just looking to use that to get further ahead the longer this game goes on. So ForGG, what has he got to do here? Well, he needs to keep these upgrades going solid. This gold base is going to be vitally important for him if he wants to get the economy in order producing enough to level out this supply count with Rain. But Rain is now gearing up to get a bit aggressive himself. He's got the Templar Archives out, so a couple of Archons going to be thrown into this mix. And of course, with all of this, it's going to lead to some very, very interesting times. Forward now. Comes Rain as he goes for an engagement. Those charge shots closing up the distance nicely. The Stalkers blinking underneath the Vikings, trying to pick those off. And bearing in mind, there was only 6 of them to start with. That means these Colossi are in a very strong position. ForGG microing backwards. He's having to pull the SCVs to deal with this. Good blink under from Rain is picking off as many of those Vikings as possible. And both Colossi are still standing. One of them may get taken down, but no, it doesn't. Great focus fire there from Rain, targeting those Vikings. Is going to be able to take down this force. ForGG is plummeting in supply at the moment, and there is the GG. Rain is able to take game number 1 of this best of 5 quarterfinal to get an early lead in the series. And psychologically speaking, getting that early lead is absolutely fantastic, because now the pressure really starts to mount on ForGG. Sure, it's a best of 5, so he does still have some breathing room, but you don't really want to give up that first game, because already you're sitting there and going, well, I've got an uphill battle now. My opponent, if I slip up once more, I'm on game point, and you never want to end up in that position early on. So, the next map is going to be Catalina. So, this is going to be a 3 spawn position map, slightly smaller, and I'm very excited to see exactly how these two are going to be playing it, because if we look at game number 1, Rain did go for quite a bit of pressure, quite a bit of aggression, was attempting, obviously with that Stargate play, to deal as much damage as possible, and it worked really well for him. He got quite a few kills there, but most importantly, just disrupted the build that ForGG was trying to go for, delayed his natural base quite heavily, and that worked really rather nicely for him. So, Catalina is going to be the next map, and we are all in here getting ready to go, so the countdown should begin shortly. Of course, we'd love to know your thoughts at home. What do you reckon is going to be the turnout of tonight's brackets? Who do you reckon is going to be crowned Grand Champion here at Intel Extreme Masters San Jose? Let us know on Twitter, hashtag IEM, to join in the conversation. It's as easy as that. But now we are getting ready to go into map number 2 of this best of 3. It has begun, so without further ado, let's jump straight on into this. So here we are, game number 2 of this best of 5 here at Intel Extreme Masters San Jose. Catalina is going to be the host of this second map, and spawning down to the lower right-hand position, we have the Red Terran. It is ForGG. And his opponent, up to the top right, the Blue Protoss. It is Rain. So, Rain is currently 1 game up in this best of 5, and by no means is this an absolute devastating loss, losing game number 1 for ForGG, but what it does do is start applying a little bit of pressure. It's not a comfortable situation losing that first game. You're always going to be sitting there. Getting off to a good start can give momentum, and if that momentum follows on into game number 2 for Rain and he takes this, suddenly the pressure is getting very, very much ramped. So, still keeping an eye on what these two are doing in terms of their opening. Of course, in game number 1, Rain did go for that proxy Stargate, and he got a lot of work done with it. But I suspect that we'll see Rain mix things up a bit here in game number 2. ForGG, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him open with that Reaper and the Reactor down yet again. It worked very nicely for him. So, just checking around to see when, obviously, any gas timings are pulled out or any Reapers start coming across the map, getting some scouting information. But, well, all in all, this is just opening just the same as we saw in game number 1 for the moment. Interesting pylon position here. This is going to give vision of this cliff, so any Reapers that come bouncing on up will be seen as soon as possible by Rain, so smart positioning there for him. If he follows the same build as game number 1, he should grab a second gas about now, so he is doing that. And this is going to give him access, of course, to quick tech. The downside to getting the quick tech, as we saw in game number 1 for Rain, was it did delay his mothership core just due to how early he tried to get that Stargate. So I'm excited to see whether he goes for that same quite greedy approach again, or if he gets the mothership core out a little bit earlier, just to start banking up that energy to make sure that he doesn't get caught off guard by the counterattack. Now, checking around, we do have that Reaper coming on through, the Reactor coming down again, and ForGG, just as in game number 1, pulls the SCVs out of the gas geyser, and therefore is going to just be pumping out a lot of Marines, a lot of SCVs to make sure that he's got a decent amount of defense against this. Note though, Rain is mixing things up now. He's going for the mothership core first, grabbing his natural Nexus down as well, just a little bit earlier, and seeing this, ForGG will therefore become a little bit more confident that there's not a proxy Stargate or any crazy amounts of aggression going to be coming down early on in this game. And of course, with this mothership core, it's also going to fend off this Reaper just for a couple more seconds, but here we have it. A Stargate is going to be coming out this game. It's not proxied, and for the moment hasn't been seen, although ForGG trying to find somewhere to sneak that Reaper on past the mothership core in order to get the scout down, but unfortunately isn't able to get it quite yet. So, still keeping a good eye on what Rain's going to be doing here. Of course, Catalina, there's a huge amount of dead space going into the main where we can get a nice position on any oracles or anything similar coming on through, and that is something that I'm sure ForGG is going to be aware of. He's keeping this Reaper just down the front, may try and sneak on by later, but of course this mothership core on a nice patrol, making sure nothing catches it off guard and just making sure the Reaper can't ever get on in. So just this game number 1, Rain is going to be looking for that Oracle play yet again. I'll be interested to see how much damage he does get done, because there are these 3 barracks now pumping out Marines here for ForGG. So he's already got that magical 6 Marine number, which is enough to fend off an Oracle, but it's all going to come down to the positioning. Nope, ForGG just putting on up with that Reaper, wants to take a look to make sure that the Nexus is still finished, nothing too sneaky going on there, but yeah, he's going to be quite happy to see that it is up and running, and he's probably going to be suspecting, okay, what is coming on down behind this? The robotics facility is now on its way. The Oracle making progress forward. Did the Reaper actually see that then? I think it may have done. Although having said that, ForGG, he's moving forward. He's going to get a good sign of this Oracle now as those Marines try and intercept it. But what's left back at home in order to defend this? The answer is not very much. This Oracle is going to have a very nice time here picking apart at some of this. There are 4 Marines popping on out though, so that is frustrating, but 3 workers were still killed, although the counterattack is preparing to come on through from ForGG. Back at home in terms of defense, there is a Photon Overcharge and 1 very brave Stalker mounting the top of this ramp, but with Concussive Shelldown, that Stalker won't be able to escape. Photon Overcharge is going to get some nice damage, but there's a lot of units here. They're charging on forward as well. If they go straight up into the main, that could be problematic. ForGG able to deal a lot of damage to the probe line, losing a lot of those Marines and Marauders, but he does nonetheless get the mothership core. 4 workers have been killed, but that's up against 8 SCVs that have been taken down across the map by this Oracle. Devastating damage being done down the ramp there. So 8 workers killed compared to 7 overall this game, but that puts it 35 to 26 in favor of Rain. But of course there are those mules, and that will level out that count to give a pretty similar economic standing for both of these 2 players at the moment. But we've got, of course, robotics facility down. We've got the first Immortals coming out, a couple of additional gateways. So Rain, he did play this very greedy in terms of his tech. Didn't really have much out to defend, but didn't take any critical amount of damage. Checking across the map, the Oracles still active, still trying to find anywhere that they can to get a bit more damage done. Picking apart quite a few Marines actually, although reinforcements will scare them away. But every bit of damage certainly starts to rack on up. They're just trying to avoid those Marines wherever possible. There is a missile turret up now at the main and natural base, so that should do a lot more to help assist this. Oh, the Oracles need to be careful. Just managing to dodge through there, so good control, good job overall by the Oracles. Will back away to safety and can come back to harass another day. Over at the natural base, Rain now sitting here. He's got 2 sentries, 2 stalkers, and that immortal. He does have 3 gateways worth of production. And ForGG unlikely to be able to get too much done here unless he very much caught Rain off guard, although does get one of those sentries. The second sentry as well is being targeted. That going down would be quite a big loss. That's 200 gas immediately taken out. So a little bit frustrating there. A good scout coming down. We'll get the timing of that forge. But yes, very, very annoying losing those 2 sentries. Ideally, you'd want to try and avoid that. The 2 Oracles, they're preparing to go in yet again. Out of range of that missile turret at the moment. Should be able to get a couple more SCV kills. So it's just a little bit of harassment damage wherever possible. Could have tried to go for that SCV, but they need to be a bit careful because of the Marines coming in from both angles for a bit of a pincer movement. And, well, the Oracles, they are going to be able to survive. There's a push coming across the map from Rain now, who is up by 10 supply in total. Only a couple of that is actually in army supplies, so he's not as far ahead as you may suspect. And in terms of army value, however, it's purely Marines going to be defending up against this. And the bunker now is going to be in a little bit of trouble trying to finish on up. Those SCVs getting picked off. The Immortals will take it down. There was no cancel either, so that's maximizing the damage done. But the pure volume of Marines here is pretty damn high. There's +1 as well. And yeah, with all of this, the Marines are actually enough to fend this off for the time being. Back at home though, additional gateways are being taken. We've got obviously Blink Tech coming on through, as well as the first couple of observers trying to make their way out onto the map. The first one is just down the front here, and again just positioning itself in a way so when and if a third base is taken by Rain, he's going to be able to see where the Terran army is positioned and which base it's trying to gun towards, so it can be repositioned very nicely. So, the Oracles, again, racking up 2 more kills, and all in all, these 2 Oracles have done a fantastic job. 20 kills between them. And obviously some of that has been on Marines, but 14 worker kills is very adequate harassment throughout the game, just keeping the SCV count a little bit lower than ideally ForGG would like it to be. And, well, still trying to find out what more ForGG has got planned. If he's going to try and go for any kind of harassment. He does have 2 medevacs, so attempting to find some avenue to drop, but with this observer, with good stalker positioning, it's going to be very hard for him to find somewhere to actually drop in where there wouldn't be too much damage done. So, ForGG, just going to be grouping up. I doubt that he'll try and push the front, just because it's quite a tight ramp, and obviously there's a decent amount of units out for Rain at the moment. He's still looking to get a bit more damage out. He's got 2 Oracles alive. The second one just doing a valiant job of patrolling in case there's any more drops coming on through. And that should be quite a nice move. Big blink forward there actually from Rain, trying to engage upon those medevacs. He ended up losing a couple of stalkers, and I don't believe he got a medevac. No, he didn't. So that is quite frustrating for him. In though comes the Oracle now, going to attempt a bit more damage. These 2 Marauders aren't going to be able to do too much to stop it. Couple more SCV kills, and it may only be 1 or 2, but it quickly starts adding up and does really get rather irritating the longer this game goes on. Adding the fact that we do now have Colossus production ramping on up. We've got Stalkers positioning just in case there is a drop coming, although there isn't any actually prepared at the moment. ForGG has pulled back his entire forces in order to defend against those Oracles or any kind of shove that may be coming, because as of right now, he's not in a position where he wants to go for too much. Rain, on the other hand, he is now going to be going for this 3rd Nexus. So he's looking to expand on out, looking to get his economy still spiraling up as the Colossus count rises. The ForGG is in a better spot than he was previous game because he's got these double starports. He's going to be able to pump out a decent number of Vikings to at least keep pace with the Colossus production. That's going to really aid him in just lasting out his opponent, making sure that he's doing as much as possible in order to get good engagements. And as a whole, both of these 2 are pretty level in terms of supply. The worker count, the army count is very similar. So this is a neck and neck game at the moment. The only real discrepancy is about 1,300 more resources being lost by ForGG, although if memory serves, they are predominantly Marines. So not too much in the way of gas going down, so that's all good news for him. Bit of damage being done there. That's quite frustrating, and it was, of course, the prerequisite to this push in from ForGG. His Vikings in a nice position, trying to just zone out the Colossus wherever possible. One of the Colossus is going to get taken down pretty darn quick, actually. The Stalker's not prioritizing those Vikings quite quickly enough But the Zealots on the ground, the Immortals on the ground are pushing on forward. They're getting a good amount of damage down onto this infantry, but ForGG still has enough. Landing the Vikings, he should have no hesitation in taking down this third Nexus. Just as it finishes up, there won't be a cancel, not getting any income, and now ForGG gets himself into a position where he is one base up. A very, very nice position for him. And now ForGG is taking quite a solid lead. He also got both of the Colossi too, and that has really swung the resources lost to being very level here. And it's going to be highly frustrating for Rain to keep outlasting this, because without the Colossi, obviously he's losing a lot of his splash damage potential up against this infantry. And with ForGG taking quite a large supply lead in terms of the army count, nearly 20 army supply actually, advantage there. He is going to be obviously being very, very boisterous, these engagements. Pushing straight on in here. There's charge lots. Will close up a lot of the distance. The Immortals at the back dishing out a fair amount. A couple of time warps being utilized as well, but Rain just doesn't have enough forces here in order to stop this. Down goes the Mothership Core. The infantry still edging on forward. The Immortals getting taken out. Rain is forced to GG, and that ties up this series to be 1-1. Fantastic play coming on down there from ForGG. Even though he was taking trickle damage from the Oracles throughout, he just had the right composition to deal with those Colossi. Taking out the third base was too much of a loss for Rain, and now means this series has been leveled out, tied 1-1. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in game number 3. That's going to be coming up shortly. A quick break now while we set up that third game. Make sure you always stay tuned, join the discussion, hashtag IEM on Twitter, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes with game number 3 of Rain versus ForGG. Stay tuned.